Hey guys, Gerard here from Critic Engineering. I asked my boot to chat a bit about one of our customers' cars. Enjoy.
Hi guys, how are you? AP Performance. Today we're going to make the first video. We want to do this quite regularly in the future. This is the car we chose to start doing like a bit of an interview on. So it's one of our good clients, an anonymous member. You will see that we're driving this car extremely hard in the street. He begged us to do it for the videos. Yeah, so please just note that we don't drive any client's car like this. This was really asked for and begged for, to drive this car extremely hard, do a couple of burnouts and a couple of serious hardcore runs to show how the car performs. Okay, so the car we've got here is a 2-liter 20V, and Gerard from Critic is doing this with me. So basically his idea. So he's going to ask the questions, and I'll just follow up on the build of the car, when it started and all of that. Okay.
Sorrel, you tell us about the cylinder head.
Okay, so obviously Gerard asked that first. We know why. He's the Mr. Critic man. So this is a fully attention to detail head. Now I want to talk a little about attention to detail. Gerard will, in this video, make a couple of pictures for you. What is attention to detail? So a lot of people just strip the cylinder head, flow the cylinder head, assemble the cylinder head, and they're hoping for power. When we say ATD, attention to detail, we really make sure all the oil galleries are perfect. We make sure the cam tunnel alignment, even the validity in the cam caps, believe it or not, we check that. We make sure the clearances are perfect. We make sure the cams spin freely. We make sure the coil bind is the coil bind gets checked. The spring seat pressure gets done. We look at every single corner to try and get horsepower out of the cylinder. We spend a lot of time in the balancing of volumes in the combustion chambers. With the burette, we CC the volumes, and obviously then it gets to the porting, which is everyone wants the porting part. I just want to say ATD, there's so much more to just the porting, and that's obviously most of the time high polish. We look at where we want the Venturi. Do we want to move the Venturi for high RPM out? Do we want a car that's got low down torque? Do we have a car like a 1660 modified coming out of the corner and there's not a lot of airspeed? The car needs to perform at 5,000 RPM. Are they allowed to gear shift one gear down? Formula GTI or whatever, the Nardinis and stuff that running the old Hewland gearboxes, they don't have a 6-speed box like we got nowadays, and they're dependent of a 4,500 RPM all the way to 7,000 probably, and they can only change differentials. So we look at the porting for what the guys do. So attention to detail even means it's a direct relationship with the client, and the rules are what is allowed in his formula or in racing or street racing. What does he want? We don't just get the head in, quote him, port the head, give it back and hope for the best. We really look at the rest of the car, the exhaust system, what is allowed to do, what not. Is he allowed to run an air duct into the car or not? Are we sitting with hot air? What altitude? What cam profiles? What fuel compression ratios? Exhaust systems? All of that, turbocharging, what boost? All of that goes together with attention to detail cylinder head. So in this case here, getting back to this car, this is a full ATD, attention to detail cylinder head for the throttle bodies, for the cams. For the idea. Now the idea behind this car was to run a sleepover car, no weight taken out of this car whatsoever. It even runs a little amp and 6x9s and sometimes a little 10-inch subwoofer. We don't want to strip the car, we don't want to cut the car, we want a street looking car, hooter working everything, and it must be as quick as possible. It's not a 400-meter car, it's purely for street racing. We're hoping to get a deep 12-second on this car, quarter mile. We probably hopefully we can test it one day. We do have some big tires that we put on if he goes to the drags, and it's mostly street drags. Like I said, there's not really a time on it. Okay, so the cylinder head, it's got a valve spring kit, it's got valves, it's got nice cams, it's solid lifter. Yeah, it's got an internal vernier, external vernier, together with the intake manifold from Roland. Uncle Roland, and all our throttle bodies, the 45mm throttle bodies, and this thing works lovely.
Okay, Sorrel, can you tell us a little bit about what's going on in the bottom end, please?
Alright, so the bottom end here, it's a short block, it's a Golf 4 GTI block, AGU block, and it's got a 2-litre Golf 5 GTI crank in it to make a 2-litre. Believe it or not, it's still under 2.1. It's got an 84mm bore. We're using a BMW piston that's modified with a compression ratio. Compression here, we're running 13.3 to 1 compression. We're running fuel mix in this car. So yeah, it's got some methanol in it for sure. You guys will see it on the dyno videos and stuff, our eyes burn and whatever. And that's how we prefer to run it. That's the reason for the tank here, for the safety, if you run the methanol. We got some additives so everything gets lubricated properly, so it's more methanol than anything else. Yeah, it's safe. If something had to burn, we got a firewall sheet in the back if something had to burn. Obviously methanol is very dangerous. And this is in the front section of the car. This looks big, but it's got the shape of the car. So this is only about 10 liters of fuel that you're going to run with it. There's no more fuel in the normal fuel tank of the car. So fuel system runs from there. This is custom made by us. It's powder coated nicely. And yeah, we make sure that it's nice and thick and there's not going to be anything funny going wrong there. So again, on the block we're running that. The future plans are to go to a 2.2 litre of a massive bottom end. Now we did development around the car, exhaust, intake, head, everything. And then obviously we just want to swap the bottom end around and put the big 2.2 in there. And then now there's nitro available, so guaranteed we will definitely try and get some nitro in there, see if we can pump the horsepower numbers up. And then my dream for this is obviously put all of this development in a lightweight car. I wish I did this development in my own car. Our little annoying thing we had, we just slapped the stuff together to see if we can run the time. So in the future, hopefully with the green car, we'll have a little bit of more fun. But yeah, the bottom end still it's a 2 litre and 60 cc's around about there. Got a set of Polo Cup rods with ARP bolts. So we, on the edge here, if we trust the rods or not. So we need to put the bigger motor in here very soon with the full forged rods, or we're going to have to, I just upgrade this motor to a set of scats or something forged. We're running a set of sputter bearings in here. Again, ATD block as well, so all the oil galleries, the block porting, the air underneath the piston just doesn't go around a 90-degree corner. The block gets flowed and all of that. So there's a lot of detail going into the cylinder block and to get this done. So that's basically, it's a bit of a Gatsby, like we call it, mixed masala in the bottom end to make this work. That's about it on the bottom end.
Can I add one thing? So also when you said you want to run around 11 on the quarter mile, just for the guys, because we got customers all over the show, even overseas, our altitude here is about 1,700 meters above sea level, so it's Joburg altitude. So obviously guys at the coastline.
Okay, so first of all, guys at the coast, they're extremely fast. Our Joburg oaks, our pans are rattling when we hear their times and we see their times. It's very expensive for us to go there. Now we on Tarleton regulations. Now it sounds like we are scared of them, and we are. Trust me, when we hear a guy running 10s, we are shaking because it looks so fast. But now, I'll be honest with you, I wish those guys can come here and they can do it at Tarleton, and the same for them. They wish we can go to the coastal lines and do it there. It's always going to be that argument between us. When you go at Tarleton, we go there and they don't even allow us to go there with a roll cage without a little sponge for your head. They make sure your harness works, your harness is strapped, even the number on the harness is not expired. That's safety rules. I suppose you could get hurt at Tarleton as well, but it's purely for safety. I mean, we were really pushing our limits with the blue car, and I know it wasn't safe. We never had a cage, we just went in the 11s, and sometimes the car had a bit of a wobble. He had a couple of moments that he said he worried about the kids and family. We got to make the cars a bit more safe, a lot more safe, by putting cages and stuff in them for the drags. Now, we look at the cars and derbs. I just hope if they come to Tarleton, they'll allow them to race, because we want to see the time. The safety is not for me, it's for them. We want to see the actual altitude difference. Back in there, we had a client with an ABF in a Golf 1, a little city Golf, and the best time the car ran at Tarleton was a 15.2, and then immediately it ran a 13.8 in KZN. So it was quite a big difference, but obviously the faster you go, the smaller the gaps become. So if you can run maybe a 10.8 or a 10.9 in KZN, hopefully run 11.1 or 11.2 in Joburg, and that's what we want to see, because that'll force us to put a bit more effort in as well. But it comes to the safety factor. We don't want to see cars we believe there's a car running around with a PVC roll cage in KZN. This is what we hear. We see the guys with a little trailer axle, no back brakes, no back shocks. it's scary. I mean, we just don't want to do that. You know, we want to run a Golf. Unlike number plates and the thing must get pulled off in a roadblock and you must drive the thing to work and back for a week, then you know this is a Golf that's fast. But when you get to drag car, limits off. So that's what the future plans are. So I just wanted the clarity between KZN and here. We love seeing the times the guys are doing, but I'm sure the guys are going to run their 10s here if they run it in KZN, but it's the safety of the car that scares me. And that's just personal, but I believe there's far fast cars out there. This car, if it can run at 12, we're aiming for a 12, mid-12 here, 12.5, 12.7, somewhere there with this car here, if we had to do that and go to KZN, hopefully a 12.1, 12.0, we don't know, maybe 11.9. Maybe, you know, sometimes we get impressed. When we went out with a blue car, we were hoping for a 12.3. Our first run ever was a 12.3, and I think we ran a 13.1 on Toyos. When we went to a Mickey Thompson, we immediately went 12.0, and then the car just went, then the bug bit, and then we just want to go faster. So you never know what the car's actually going to do. So it drives nice and smoothly. Let's give it another run here. Check the RPM. Fun.
So I'm your brother. I know how much time and effort you put into branches. Can you please share all your branch secrets with us on this car? We would really like to hear it, and also talk about the throttles and the lengths and so on, please.
Okay, so if we share the branch, I wouldn't call it secrets, just the studies on branches. Hopefully we're going to have another 365 videos, one per day for the next year on branch development. This car's on, I think, branch number 6. So what we used to do in the past is make a branch. Now we started making a branch to a length, 4:1, and then we used to just change the diameters, and then we used to choke them shorter until we find the power with the pulse waves in the branch. And then we had to get the anti-reversion, and then you put a cone in the branch for the anti-reversion so the head doesn't swallow all the gases back in it. And that's the big trick. So now we eventually went to a flange, 4-bolt flange, and we go to a certain, once we found our diameter size, calculation, there's a big calculation that we could probably share with the guys in the future when we talk about branches in detail. But yeah, there's a calculation, cam, engine size, cam angles, you put a degree wheel on, you work out where the branch pulse must be. We usually base it on the torque peak that we need, and then the cars usually rev a little bit higher than that. And then from that, the calculated length, we put a flange, and then from there we got another flange pushing in, so we can start long and choke it shorter until we get our thing. And then the collector cannot make anything difference after the torque peak. It can only shape the torque peak under. So the collector is then usually about 11-degree taper to stop reversion. We never found a merge working good unless you really rev something far over 8,000. But yeah, there's so much development in the branch. In this case, it's a baby little branch at work. I do believe we're going to upgrade the branch when we go to 2.2. This is still a 4:1. I think this is as good as it's going to get. All the 20 valves we really built, we based exactly on this developed size and length, because they all work well, and we always get what we want out of the branches. The main problem with these 20 valves suffocate because there's a third valve in the way on the intake port. Yes, it's 20 valve, but I do believe the FSIs will be better. In this case, we suffer, and we cannot get the cars to really rev very hard over 7,500 at a Gearbox altitude. In this case, that was the reason why we went to all-out racing, and Gordon Nolan helped me very well with a set of throttles here, and we did some development on ram tube lengths and some port shapes and size and angles, and we went to all sizes of the 45s. Is just the way. The 45s work brilliantly. And then obviously we're trying to get the cold air from the front here, custom 8-valve performance radiator, just to get the cold air from the front of the grill here. So you can literally see it's all direct cold air when the bonnet gets closed. Once again, the bonnet scoop direct to head will work, but it's a sleeper. We don't want to run the throttles out the bonnet in this case. Yeah, and that's like really fast. So Sorrel, obviously our dads build the gearboxes.
Can you tell us a bit about what's going on inside the gearbox, please?
I can't remember, it's old. This gearbox was built by my dad, Wimpoy, in 2016. And this car's raced a lot. That gearbox has got mileage on it, it's never failed. This has got a rally spec ratios in it, very, very short gears. It's got a locker limited slip diff in it. So it's got a short final guide 4.25 with a long first gear, nice gears. My dad puts all his effort in, and that's another thing. I've seen when my dad builds a gearbox, not because he's my dad or he's famous for gearboxes. Look, he puts his time and effort in it. It's his life, it's his hobby, it's his dream to build gearboxes. He puts effort in. Now sometimes they break and they blame him, and I always say, geez, if you see what failed, my dad can't guarantee the gears and the parts. But yeah, this box has been good. So the backlashes are good, and the synchro, he even literally bets the synchros and he micro meets them, and no. He puts a lot of effort into the gearboxes, the bearings, the oil. The box is very reliable. This box is very quick. This was actually that old snot-bolt gearbox of ours. We ran 12.4 back in the day. Then we had the 425 was way too long for the big Mickey Thompson slicks. That's why we did about 94 Ks in first gear, revving it to 8.8 on the 16 valve. So for the street with the small tires, the gearbox ratios are perfect.
Can you just tell us in general about the car? Brake, suspension, inside, weight, so on, please?
Okay, so it's a 2005 or 6 Chico. The car's got a nice set of Velo rims on it. This is obviously done very pretty for the bigger tires, for the Toyo proxies and stuff. If we go to the 225s for traction, so we don't have to. So that gives it a little bit away. The arches. It's got a set of big brake kits from Delaray Goldbergen. If you can see, it's got a brake boosted elite in here. In this case, we've just done this for space, not really for any weight reductions or anything. This is a Nissan 1400 brake master cylinder that gives us a very nice travel on the foot pedal. Okay, and then for the rest of the car, the thing is Chico. You can look at the interior here. There's, like I said, there's sound in it. It's a normal Chico. And it still says 1.4 on the back, so it's a nice little sleeper. The exhaust system doesn't look too wild. I mean, you can see that's a normal silencer. Yeah, so the car's really, it's got a nice set of coilies in it. I can't remember the brand. I think this came from Volkswagen years ago, but yeah, the car drives nice. You'll see the videos. This thing really bounces. It's quite nice.
Okay, Sorrel. So explain a bit about the dyno that we got on here, and I purposely put a 2E dyno on their standard one. Can you explain a bit?
Sorry, yeah. So a lot of clients are going to complain, why only 69? That's literally stock as it comes from factory. That's not even a branch, not even a free flow. So the minute you take the 2E and you do like a branch and a free flow and a nice setup and induction, you can get up to about 160, if you're lucky, 165 newtons. You can slightly rev it a little bit better than this. This one's not too bad. And you can get like 72, 75 kilowatt on the wheels. We had one or two luck shots where we hit like a 78 kilowatt, but it's also winter times when the humidity is perfect and the weather's perfect. Okay, on the red graph, we're obviously watching here. This is the 20 valve, the 2-liter 20 valve. This is a lot of development going in here. So that's quite a lot. That's 175 kilowatt. This is on the methanol, 175 kilowatt. With a methanol, with a fuel mixture, it makes like 5 kilowatt less. So it's not major, but it does help. It's like we said, it's still a 2-liter crank in here. It's a big bore, but it's still a 2-liter crank. And then our idea was to stretch the torque curve as far as we can, obviously. So you still got over 200 Newton meters when you're revving 8,000 RPM. And this is where the car actually performs. It's quite a nice wide RPM spread. This motor does not even have forged rods in it. This has only got the ARP bolts, so we know the metal fatigue. Eventually the conrod's got to let go, so we can't push this harder. We never expected this out of the engine, so obviously when we do the bigger 2.2, we're going to have to put forged rods and all of that. And then I would like to see what it does and where the graph curves to. It possibly could go to 9,000 for all we know.
Sorry, out of curiosity, what does a Golf 7R make your bus?
Okay, so obviously Golf 7 are strong, it's turbocharged, but factory it makes about 160, 165, depending on weather conditions again.
And that's wheel kilowatt?
That's wheel kilowatt, yes. Look, the car magazines or whatever the book says, VW have never seen it being true, especially when it comes to the diesels, the TDIs, they're always way stronger than what the magazines say. But yeah, this is wheel kilowatt we're talking about 165 kilowatt on the wheels and about 350 newtons. But then they'll have a massive spike around 3,500 and the torque will just drop all the way down. So if you have to rev a 7, you can't compare that. I mean, at 7,500 RPM. There's not a lot of VWs that can actually rev this nice, that high.
Awesome, thanks.
Cool, so what I want to add here on this red graph, you'll find that these 20 valves, this is obviously in perfect weather conditions. If you get a very hot dyno room, like on a dyno day, this exact car I think only made 166 or 168 kilowatt. So it dropped like 5 or 6 kilowatt or even a little bit more on the dyno days when it's very hot. So obviously you're depending on the call there. So if, once again, if you could take this to the coast, you've got the bee's knees, what we call it.
Last question. Have you ever had a stronger aspirated car than this one on the dyno?
No comment. No. This is about what we made with our annoying thing. Obviously ours were 2.2. We could never rev this hard. We did rev it this hard because due to gear ratios. If we had this kind of development done on our own personal car, I believe we would have been very close to 190, 200 kilowatt mark. But also that's just now, my fish is bigger than the one you caught, you know, so that's something we have to prove in the future to actually put a thumbs up on it.
Thanks.